you're a parent, chances are you prepped your kids for their first day back at school this week. And chances are as well they'll want to stay in school long after their elementary and secondary school studies are done. For every 3 Canadians between age 25 and 64, 2 of them will take up post-secondary studies of one type or another. And the price of those studies keeps climbing, which ends up either leaving parents struggling to foot the bill or students saddled with large debts after their studies are done. One solution, RESPs. That's a Registered Education Savings Plan. With the school year underway, we thought it might be a great chance to talk about RESPs, and joining me to do that is Mark Ting, who's an investment advisor with Hollis Wealth. Mark, as a lot of parents send their kids off to university, they might be thinking about tapping into those RESPs. Are there tips around doing that?
Yeah, there's actually strategies about withdrawing from RESP. So I'll sort of talk about how an RESP is comprised. So on one hand, there's one bucket. These are the contributions. I call this a tax-free bucket. So as a parent, let's say you put in $1,000 for 18 years, it would consist of $18,000. Now the other bucket is taxable. Now this is all the money. It's filled with money that you didn't directly contribute to. So often growth, rate of return on this bucket, as well as the main incentive for going into an RESP, the grants. So taxable, non-taxable. So if you do not want your child, you want to extract everything tax-free, I guess you would call it.
That's the goal, yes.
Tax-free, and you want to keep all your grants. You would look at their basic personal tax rate. So at the first $11,000, you can essentially make as much money as you want, well, up to $11,000, and do not pay tax. So one suggestion that I always make is on the taxable bucket, take out $11,000 from that, and then if you need any more, you take it from the other bucket, which is tax-free. And result, you get all your money out tax-free.
Okay, so that's one strategy. Does it matter time of year, when they start school? You can tap into this at any time?
Yeah, you basically have to give proof that you're enrolled in school. And a lot of people think that the money has to be used for specific things, book and tuition, and that's not the case. As long as you got proof of enrollment, you can tap into it. There are sort of limitations of how much you can tap into the taxable bucket. At your first year, it's only $5,000, but if you wait till the next term, you can tap into it again and get pretty much as much as you want.
Okay, so good to know. You specify when you're tapping into your funds that you want mostly to come from your second bucket.
Right.
What about if your child does a year or 2 of university or college and then decides to take a break? What happens to your RESPs?
So it really depends on the age of the student, the child, or your child,
the young adult.
The young adult, I guess we'll call it. RESPs can be open up till 36.
You can tap into them until age 36. So
yes.
that gives some room for people to even go back as a...
To find themselves.
Right, right. To take a gap decade.
Pretty much,
Okay,
yes.
so they qualify to age 36, and they can just keep using it. There are no penalties if you start to draw down and then you don't do anything the next year.
There's no real penalties, but after age 36, if you do not use it, or if you decide I'm never going back to school, the government, you'll have to basically decide what to do with that money that's in the RESP. And the government says, okay, if post-education is no longer on the table, they're going to take back the grants and the growth that you've made. So basically this bucket is going to be diminished significantly. Grants are gone, and the growth will be taxable in your hands.
Okay, and just briefly, if you're a parent who didn't opt into the RESP program, are there other options for people who might not be able to afford an extra savings? We live in Vancouver, a lot of parents just getting by.
Yeah, so there's a different part that's not part of the grant, but it's called a learning bond. It's still an RESP. So families in low income, they can qualify, if they qualify for this bond, they can get up to $2,000, and they do not have to put in any money at all. They just do the paperwork, and then if they qualify, they just get a stipend every single year. So that's something low-income people, families should definitely look into. Free money.
That sounds great. And there are scholarships too that parents can apply for.
Yeah, so this is overlooked, and this is something that I personally take advantage of. A lot of people think, okay, scholarship, what does that entail? It entails my kid has to be brilliant or has to be a phenomenal athlete. I'm living proof. I was a C student, and my jump shot was really weak. And I got $5,000 worth of scholarships. So there's scholarships for almost everybody out there. Often it's a numbers game. You apply for a lot. I applied for over 10, and I received 2. And where you find this thing, I think it's called scholarshipcanada.com or Canada Scholarships. It's relatively easy to find. At the moment, I checked it, there's over $177 million worth of scholarships up for grabs.
Wow, that is a great tip, and everyone's going to be out there quickly going onto that website. That's good information. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you.